Right, Greg, I know whilst it feels like we've been away for a long time, but actually I looked and it's only been 2 weeks since we put out the last episode. And since we were last recorded, we've got a new government here in the UK. There was an assassination attempt on an ex-president doing it at a rally. There has been, untold changes. Tommy Robinson has just fled the country. All the stuff that you think would happen in like a year or maybe a few years of politics has been condensed into seemingly a week.
Yeah.
So, did you have a nice holiday?
Yeah.
Perfect.
That was
Right.
good. Apologies to the listeners for a little break. It's kind of unprecedented in our history. This is the first kind of break we've had. But I was away for work and then immediately away on a holiday. So, and same for you. You were away as well. So we've both been absent, AWOL. But we're back now.
We have been AWOL. You were having a holiday, and I was absolutely sweating buckets in the Malaysian jungle on a job. And I will say, 32-degree heat with 80+% humidity.
Yeah,
not a vibe.
No,
not a vibe.
Well, I was actually on that job. I was in all over the place. So I was in Italy, Greece, Croatia, and Malta. And that part of Europe was going through a major heat wave, and it's the same thing, kind of it was about 34, 35 degrees some days, but the humidity is the killer.
It's awful, isn't it?
And you'd expect, worked in Malaysia, know that the humidity is very often an issue there. Mm-hmm. You don't expect to find it in kind of southern Europe to that degree. Like, you're not in a jungle. But
no, if I'm honest, I had never even thought about the humidity in a place like Croatia.
No, it was horrendous.
Well, quickly, should we just talk about our tips for dealing with humidity and camera systems? Because obviously the temptation is to get yourself in an air-conditioned car or hotel as quickly as you can. Then, as soon as the camera cools down and then you come straight back outside, my God, the condensation, and it takes forever to get rid of it. So we ended up having a pickup truck, and we would just sling all the camera stuff in the back of the open pickup just to keep it the same temperature.
Yeah. Yeah, and bagging it is what you kind of do in cold temperatures. You bag it up, and then, if you're moving, you transition it so you allow it to acclimatize. But I'm guessing with that, you just don't really want to take it into air conditioned areas, because if you bagged it having been hot and then it cools down, you'll actually end up with the water vapor forming on the front element of the lens and stuff, wouldn't you?
Probably. And I'm fairly certain that's not a good vibe.
Yeah, silica gel. Always travel with plenty of silica gel.
Yep, no, that's a good idea. I wish I had taken some. I ended up forgetting on the first day and kind of getting everything set up, and suddenly I was like, right, where's the camera? Okay, we'll bring out the camera. Oh, God, it's cold. Instant, we get pure fog on the front of the lens. Yeah. And I was like, okay, well, I have to get this cold. I have to get this warm. So there's a video of me going like, make of that what you will. But I had to get my hot breath.
No one turned that into a meme.
I might pixelate it. But yeah, so I had to, get it really hot as quickly as possible. So just breathing on it, and using the very depths of my lungs to try and warm it up. I looked mad, and all the local fixers genuinely thought I had just lost it. Got out. Yeah. It wasn't a strong look, to be fair.
No, silica gel. I once rescued one of the original, I think, Canon 5D Mark IIs that got absolutely drenched in a downpour in, I can't remember where, Sierra Leone or somewhere, and we had to buy rice from the hotel kitchens. Just, they couldn't really understand why we wanted so much rice. And we were like, no, we don't want it cooked. We just want to get like a tub. We need about 6 or 7 kilos of rice because we need to totally submerge this camera. And amazingly, it worked.
Did it really?
Dried the camera out, yeah. The rice absorbs the moisture.
I've never done that rice trick. I've heard of it, but I've never done it. So it actually worked.
Problem is, it leaves the camera properly like dusty and covered in bits of rice.
But it turns on.
Yes.
So 6 of one, half a dozen of the other.
It definitely saved me on the job. Yeah.
No, I can imagine. So it's been a busy time. Obviously, you've had some time off, and we've got tons to chat about, this is going to be one of those ones that pings over from post to post. But what do you want to kind of kick off with? Because we've got a million different things.
Well, first I got to hold my hands up and say I did a bit of a Tom Barnes recently.
Can we not? Can we not? I don't buy anything anymore until we maybe have
vintage Barnes.
Vintage
call
Barnes.
it vintage Barnes.
Yeah, we'll go with that. Vintage Barnes is fine.
See, many moons ago, and to be fair, you come out of this quite well because you advised me initially to buy the lens. And it is a great lens, and I owned it for a while, and then I thought I don't need this lens, I don't use it, so I sold it, and I recently found myself buying the lens again. About 2 years later.
I've been there. I've been there in that exact situation. So do you want
to
never
done that before? So,
do you want to tell everyone what lens it is?
So it's nothing particularly exciting. It's the Canon's RF35 1.8, which is their cheap and cheerful 35mm, I guess you'd call it kit lens, but is actually a very nice lens.
I need to pull you up on two things right there.
Okay.
Number one,
yes,
I don't think it's a basic lens. I think it's one of my favourite lenses ever, and I'll tell you why for now. But the second thing I want to pull you up on before I forget is cheap and cheerful. It's not cheap.
Well, in comparative to RF lenses, sorry. Yeah.
I mean, how much? It's about 500 and something quid, isn't it?
I thought it was less than that. I thought it was about 380, but I might be wrong.
Well,
I might be, ignorance is bliss. Have a look.
I might be wrong.
If you compare it to,
you can get it from reputable places for just under 400, or you can buy it from places like Wex for 529, and MPB have got one for about 350. So it is possible to get them cheaper.
I got it from the reputable places.
Nice.
I think
I actually do use one of these places, and they've been excellent with me over the years. So can I give them a shout out?
Yeah,
because I would imagine it's the same place. I've used HDEW.
Yes,
for
the guys.
H2 or whatever they're called. The HDEW cameras, I've used them for various things over the years, and actually they've been great. And they can source me iPads and all sorts of stuff.
Yeah, I think it's grey import. I think, but I'm not sure. I don't know how they do it.
I don't know
what grey import is.
I don't know how they can do it either, because those prices are including VAT.
Yes, and they don't. You have to request the VAT.
You do
certificate. Receipt. But yeah, they've been all massively helpful for me. Over the years,
they're very quick on email as well. So and I will also say, I've been there. I went
to pick up my stuff from there.
Right. They don't like people doing it, but it is a proper bricks and mortar. There is an office that I went to. So it was Sutton. Is it Sutton?
I want to say Carshalton, but I think they might have moved since I went there. It was many years ago.
Was it on like a big industrial estate?
It was either something like Carshalton or Colston or somewhere down near Sutton. Yeah, it's down that way.
They're in Wallington. That's where they are.
But they weren't there before. They've moved. I think they were running away from.
Oh, they're on Sutton Business Park. That's why I'm thinking that. So anyway, anyway, nice guys, nice to deal with, and VAT inclusive. So never had anything repaired from there, but you do get your own. They give you your own warranty via their kind of third party people. So fine.
Yes, let's not get into Canon repairs anyway.
No, should we actually? Can we? I want to go toe to toe with honestly. So Canon this week. I don't know if anyone has signed up to be a member of the CPS and then tried to cancel that experience, but I signed up by accident. Don't ask me how. Long story. And it took me 2.5 weeks to get through to the right people to get my account cancelled.
Wow.
They run. It's so weird. They seem to run the membership, but via a third party company,
right?
And then the third party company then called me and they said, "Hey Tom, we hear you want to cancel. Well, we can't do that." So then they passed me back to Canon, and all of this took forever. So yeah, it's overall not a very pleasant experience, and I still haven't managed to get my camera in to get serviced. Because the USB port got knocked on a job, so it's going to be cheap as well.
Yeah, I mean,
So
last time I had to do a Canon repair, I think I went straight direct up to Elstree and Boreham Wood and knocked on the door of their their thing that's on an industrial estate up there, and that seems to be a good way to do it. Although it takes a massive chunk out of your day to go travel there, and that's not going to work for everyone depending where they are in the country.
no,
Fujifilm, I found, offers a fantastic repair service. You know, they send you the box with the prepaid labels or pre-printed labels, whatever it is, and yeah, it's a quick turnaround. And I've sometimes had the repairs come back and they've gone above and beyond. So
I will actually. Is another shout out here for Fuji, the professional services, because they were, like you say, really on it, really quick turnaround. I would imagine they probably have to deal with less people, and so maybe can offer that. But when I was on Fuji, I was really impressed with it. So sorry, Canon.
Yeah,
but the I'm hoping the CPS stuff me kind of get back on again, because I would quite like to get my camera fixed. So I'm sure it'll happen at some point. Quickly, you'll be very impressed. Since we last chatted, there's been a huge, great announcement from Canon.
Oh, the R5 Mark II
and
the R.
See, you don't even know. Like the R1. The R1 came out and everyone was just like, whoa, the R1's no, it's an R3 Mark II. It's not really a flagship. It is, they're saying it's a flagship, but actually I no one I'm speaking to is massively excited about it. And also no one I'm speaking to, it's going to sound weird. Obviously you and I would love a full-size HDMI port, but other than that, I don't know really what's to get excited about the R5 Mark II. Like, I looked at it and was like,
to be honest, I've not even looked at the specs.
No, don't get me wrong. It's an upgrade, but whether it's enough upgrade to justify the however much how much are they now? Let's have a look. Because it used to be, back in the day. No, oh, that's with the lens. Whoa, that was that was a lot. So Clifton cameras, for example, R5 Mark II, body only. It's £4,500.
Yeah, you're going to want some serious upgrades to spend that if you've already got the R5.
Well, it's £9,000, isn't it? Because the trouble is, you want a second.
Mm-hmm.
You want two matching bodies. And the cool thing about the Canons, I don't know if the Fujis can do this, but this saved my bacon on a job out in Malaysia. Is I have my camera settings saved to my Dropbox. And so I flew into Malaysia with no equipment whatsoever, and I knew I was going to hire the R5. And so I had saved my settings out from the stills section of the R5C, downloaded it when I was there, stuck it on an SD card, loaded it into the camera, boom, had my camera in my hand. It's amazing. To be able to do that, it's just so brilliant. So I've got my R5Cs for video stills and also the R6 saved that way. If you don't know about it, it's amazing. It's hidden in the menus. You can save settings to SD card, camera card, and then just pull that CST file. I think it's a CST file, stick it on your Dropbox, and then have that in case you ever need to pull things down. And when you obviously make changes to how you have the camera set up, obviously replace that file. But that was brilliant. But that is why one of the reasons, I guess, one of the arguments for having two bodies.
I'll try and find a video or something on to walk people through that and post that into the show notes if people are interested in doing it.
If you're kind of listening to this and being like, whoa, that's actually a pretty cool thing. It's amazing. And it means that you can fly anywhere in the world, reset whatever higher camera you get. Obviously, it's the same one as you want to use at home, and then load the settings on, and boom, it just feels like your camera in your hand. So, and it's it's for me, it's one of the great little tips about hiring camera kit, especially abroad, where it's going to be nothing like set up how you have it set up. So it's it's a bit of a belter. But yeah, the R5 Mark II body, $4,500, feels like I wouldn't get that much of an upgrade, and also I'm super happy. But for the first time ever, this is how far I've come, right? Going from like 10 camera systems in 2 years to now I don't really want to upgrade. We've talked about this on the show before. What is it going to be that they bring out that makes me want to, or makes us want to upgrade? Because currently, we're obviously in a bit of a bit of a catch-22. Our fees as photographers are dropping. It feels like it's becoming harder and harder to kind of like.
They've certainly not matched inflation, have they?
Definitely not. Absolutely. Well, I mean, dropping in real terms, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
they
yeah.
might not actually be dropping, but in real terms, there's been 11% or 20% inflation or whatever over the past couple of years, and camera prices have gone up by that, but our fees haven't. So it's a bit of a. I now look at kind of cameras and being like, okay, well, I've only taken 80,000 on my main body and 10,000 on my backup body, and they've still got plenty of life in. Will I buy the latest and greatest? Probably not. I'll go and buy another R5C. Because the R5C, let's have a look at the body cost there. That's, from Park Cameras, 3,006. From Wex, 3,649. Are you seeing a 1,400 quid or £1,000 upgrade? No, it's not 1,600 or 1,000. It's 800 quid. Sorry, my maths is awful. But is it worth that jump?
Yeah,
I'd argue not. But obviously you have to keep these people, ticking along. CVP have got the R5C here for 3.5. So, I don't know. I was just a bit bummed out because I was just a bit like, I was expecting everything, and you wouldn't believe the amount of messages I had from people being like, "Oh, you're gonna get it. You're gonna get it." I'm like, "Nah, you're all right. I'm totally fine." The R5 and the R5C are amazing cameras that cover pretty much every base. Yeah, they've got foibles, but what camera doesn't?
Yeah, true.
So are you pleased with going back to your 35? Are you pleased with your 35 then?
Yeah, it's a great little lens. And actually, it's funny because I haven't taken a DSLR out for a long time and used it as like I took it on holiday with me as like a little kind of camera, snap camera. I mean, it's not tiny, it's not a little camera, but it's, standard SLR size. And I loved it. It's great.
So I have what camera do you have? Well, no, I have. So this is.
So I thought you dropped it.
No. I've just to give you an idea of what I'm dealing with in the office, guys. I went through my cases and I sorted out my stack of gaff tape. So that is currently, it's probably about 200 and something quid with the gaff.
All different shades of grey.
All different shades of grey. But yeah, I'm the same as you. I have that 35 1.8, and I absolutely love it. It's mine is trashed. I won't lie. It's absolutely knocked to hell. But I have the same thing. I have an R6 that lives on my belt with a Peak Design camera clip, and that is on my belt pretty much on every trip and every shooting like little behind the scenes things. And I'm very, very good at shooting behind the scenes pictures and very, very bad at then posting them to social media.
Yes. Yeah. I'm terrible with posting anything to social media at the moment. We've had a bit of a hiatus.
Yep. I don't tend to get anything from it. Like taking pictures and dealing with clients and working the images up in post and stuff. That's what I love. That's what I love. Then showing off the images. I don't know. For me, I don't know. Just not very good at showing off.
I don't think the kind of format of Instagram nowadays really lends itself to it anyway. It's more video. You need to have kind of little clips, and that's what people seem to want to see, or that's what they want to show people.
And they want apparently is the trend is for less produced stuff. So kind of like user generated content, UGC, and kind of like lower production value stuff. Now, I find that very hard to do because like it's not that I can't do it, but for me, one of the things I really enjoy about my job is being able to create that production value. And look at the podcast. It's hopefully it sounds all right, looks okay. I like doing everything to a certain standard. And so for someone the other day was like, "Oh, can you just take it behind the scenes on a shoot, like a little talk through video?" And I was like, "Yeah, can." I won't, but I can. So I did actually do it, and I've got the DJI Pocket, and had a little mic for that, and kind of walked around with that, and that looked great. So yeah.
Which one's that? The DJI Pocket? Is that the one you had before that you?
Yeah, I got lent one when I was doing the 100-day gear challenge. I got lent one to kind of test it out by a local camera shop, and I loved it so much because it's really easy to just go, can you just film something for me? And you just give them this little camera, and they're like, "Ooh, this feels special," and they feel part of the shoot. The footage looks great because it basically does everything for them. All they need to do is hit record, and so it's all stabilized footage in half speed. So it's all in 50 frames or 60 frames. Yeah. And so I then get this lovely looking footage that's all automated from the camera point of view, to stick on the contact page website video and stuff like that. So it works really well.
I tell you what, I bought the other day actually for this. That's not really worth getting. It's up there, but I bought a little phone bracket that has a hot shoe mount, so you can sit in your hot shoe and you can actually mount your phone. I guess it's for using your phone as a monitor or something. But it came about because I found myself in a situation, not a standard situation. I don't think. I was on a beach down in Hampshire, kind of in the surf, being charged down by the Blues and Royals.
I mean, that sounds like a very normal situation. That happens to me all the time. So do you want to explain who the Blues and Royals are, by the way?
So they're part of the Household Cavalry. They're a regiment in the British Army that they're part of the royal regiments that kind of look after the king, I guess. So whenever you see the stuff on Whitehall and that's either the Lifeguards or the Blues and Royals, I believe.
They do look very smart, the Blues and Royals, I will say.
Yeah, so I was in the middle of 40 horses charging down the beach at me, coming down through the surf, and I took, I was shooting away, snap, 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 and then afterwards I thought, it's a real shame I didn't get a video of that. That would have made for quite a dramatic little clip. So I think, going forward, sometimes in those situations, it's useful. I don't know if you could do that with the DJI Pocket. Is there a way that you could mount it? I've not seen them. Which one is it that you have?
Well, I can show you, actually. Everything here in the office is balanced.
Yes.
It is this one. I have the DJI Pocket 3. And so you literally, you flick the screen, the little camera comes to life, and then it's like a fully, let me see if I can, if I hide my face, it should focus.
Yeah. So on the bottom of that, is there some kind of
So on the bottom, you have a USB-C mount, but...
USB-C mount?
Not USB-C mount, you have a USB-C adapter, plug, socket, but it does come with this tiny little thing here.
Yeah.
And then you can clip that on, double clips in, and then you get a 1/4-20 mount on the bottom. So it would be a little bit big and tall, but at the same time, it's pretty solid. And also, does it matter because it's stabilized?
Okay, interesting. So, if you then flipped the camera, as in if you were shooting landscape and then you turn to portrait it wouldn't be seamless, obviously, but would it then update the camera on the top because of the gimbal?
No. So the way it works here is, this is how easy it is to go into, let me hide myself. This is how easy it is to go into vertical video. I'm now in vertical video.
Right. Well, so if you had that mounted and you turn the camera like that, it wouldn't adjust itself?
No, it wouldn't, because it's gimbaled. So
it only goes so far.
It only goes to there, and then that's the end point. Anymore, and it starts to anymore. It just does. Yeah, it does do that. So you could do that, but the thing I think you're thinking of would be something like a GoPro, or like one of those what are they called? Not Action Ace. They're by Insta360, and they do that, and they do a series of action cameras. Or DJI have actually got an action camera as well. And I think they're actually a worthwhile bit of kit to have, because wouldn't have that looked cool to have that video of the horses charging down?
Yeah, it would have been great.
So I'll tell you what though, just get it set
I don't know
up.
where I would have mounted the camera though. That's what I'm saying. I would have had to have been holding it.
Well, I'll stick it on your forehead.
How well does that thing mount? It's not like a.
It's.
I sometimes see this when you see these influencer videos or these videos of people that walk down the street and they have GoPro strapped to their cameras and then they have something out there filming themselves. It's just like.
I mean,
it always reminds me of that kid from the Goonies that opens his coat and he has all the boxing gloves that come out on articulated arms.
Oh, I've forgotten about that. It's actually a great film. The one I've got is not that great for mounting, but I haven't got it to mount for stuff. I have got it to just give to people to then film me effectively taking shots. And it's more useful for when I do.
It's your personal camera.
It is my personal camera, but it's more useful for when I do talks and stuff. And then people are like, or I have a little video sometimes that I show at the beginning of, if I do like a big agency presentation to like 25 people, I have a little video that comes on with behind the scenes of me shooting with a helicopter landing and like, eye-opening stuff. So hopefully they kind of go, oh, this guy's legit. It's only like 10, 15 seconds, but it basically is enough time for me to be like, my name's Tom Barnes. This is what I do. So yeah, I just find it really useful to just have it. So, but the action thing, I would quite like to get another little action camera. But the trouble is, I've got a love-hate with GoPro, for example. I must have had 7 or 8 GoPros, and I've never really used them. That's the trouble. So,
yeah, I've used to use them a lot more than I did. I think sometimes these things can be a bit of a gimmick, for people that they get them. I feel like this a little bit with my drone. I was talking to someone the other day, lent someone some batteries from my drone, and saying, "How many times have you shot with it this year?" And I was like, "I haven't. I don't think I've got it up in the air once this year."
And we're almost month 8.
Yeah. And sort of, why do I have it? It's the type of thing you should rent in rather than actually own.
I sold mine.
Yeah.
I sold mine for that exact reason. I realized that I had flown it last year. I shot kind of like 3 things on it, 3 of which were personal. They were all of which were personal projects. Or like one was like a short film for someone I was helping out. And it's not really enough to justify the cost of it.
I think like if you're doing majority video and you've got all the licenses and stuff to fly it, then yes, they're great. But I think for stills photographers, they were quite useful in the travel world, and that's the only times I've ever really used it on travel assignments. But it's one shot per assignment, normally 1 or 2, because after that becomes a gimmick. So I think quite often there are these things that they seem like, oh, that would be really great to have, and then you get it and you go, well, actually. And for me, the GoPro, I have used it in interesting places before. I remember when I first got them, I mounted them to all sorts of things for little video projects, and you can get some exciting shots. But I think now people, I don't know, they expect more maybe, or just aren't as excited by the kind of gimmickry of it.
Yeah, there's also, you and I photograph celebrities from time to time. There's also an element of, what's that on your camera? Why are you filming this? Where's that going to go? That wasn't cleared. So when you see all these influencers doing it, it's because they're working with, models doing effectively personal work. And it's not been, or they've had to clear it all in advance. And a lot of the jobs that you and I do, with the celebs and stuff, the idea of the photographer getting a GoPro cleared in advance to then have just footage because we don't know quite what to do with it. Don't know. That would put everyone's hackles up on a lot of my jobs.
Yeah, I don't really shoot much celebrity stuff, to be honest, so I don't know. But yeah, I wouldn't. I'd feel a bit awkward having it anyway on a portrait kind of shoot unless you'd had that cleared. For me, it's more, I can't remember the last time I used my GoPro, as I said, but I think when I was doing a lot of NGO work, I'd quite often mount them on vehicles, especially if we were traveling journeys, and do time lapses with them, or just get kind of alternative angles that could then be cut into the footage. Mounted above a wheel mount. I mounted mine to a plane wing once of a World War II plane that was, and I've mounted it to all sorts of weird places, to be honest, but that's for another day.
I guess the argument there is that it's small, relatively inexpensive.
Mm-hmm.
And and small, easy to chuck in a bag, easy to mount. So if you do have one, you just got to remember to A, bring it out, and B, make sure there's battery and card in it.
I'd be fascinated to know how many GoPros are at the bottom of the ocean.
Thousands, I'd imagine. Do you know, I did actually buy one. The video quality wasn't up to speed, but the idea of it was phenomenal. It was the Insta Ace. Was it? No, it wasn't the Insta Ace. It was the Insta 360 Go 2. All these names, it's so catchy. But the camera detached from the main camera body, and then you could magnet it. This tiny little thing had magnets on the back, and you could stick it everywhere, and it was amazing. But it was 8-bit, and I simply won't touch anything now that's 8-bit because the idea that I can't keep some highlights is abhorrent now to me. So that kind of didn't last very long in the stable, but I really, really loved the flexibility and how it worked. I thought it was mega cool. So mega cool. God, what do I sound like? Anyway, I thought it was amazing, really. So if and when they bring out a new version with 10-bit, I'll probably get it.
Then it'll be super cool.
Super cool. Yeah, we don't want anything to be mega cool. A mega pint. Yeah. So yeah, it's all very. Apparently, I'm still jet lagged. So
I'm trying to think if there's other little purchases I made recently. So I did end up getting we were having a chat in the WhatsApp for the patrons. Actually, there was a lot of debate about filters on camera lenses and what people recommended and what have you. And someone was putting an interesting review about glimmer glass versus mist and pro mists.
Who was that person?
I can't remember off the top of my head.
It might have been me.
Oh,
sorry. Somebody. Yeah,
somebody.
That might have been me. No, glimmer glass is really cool because if you look down into it, have you looked into it yet?
Yes.
It looks like confetti in your glass. Now, if you've not heard of glimmer glass, Greg, do you want to explain what glimmer glass is?
Not really.
Cool.
Well, you're the one who posted it.
Well,
I just went, yeah, all right.
So
that looks legit.
I like diffusion filters, right? So I've
you know what? Okay, yeah. Sorry, carry on.
Was it me?
Yes, I thought it was. I thought it was somebody else because it was Andy that responded to it.
Oh, sorry. No. So hi everyone in the group, by the way. So the difference between glimmer glass and Black Pro Mist, really. I use Black Pro Mists, but I am going to slowly move over to glimmer glass. The difference is Black Pro Mist softens, reduces overall contrast, and lifts the black point. I'm fairly certain that's what a Black Pro Mist does over a regular Pro Mist. Or does a Black Pro Mist keep the black point at the same point?
It was Andy. Sorry, Andy Higgins. You did post the video. I was like, I'm sure Andy posted
Oh,
that.
sorry,
Anyway,
Andy. I'm trying to
taking his credit.
Trying to take credit for work I did not do. My dear. Sorry,
Andy.
Andy.
A patron at that rate. You're like, I'm not supporting you anymore. Yeah. So no. To carry on. It basically the video is quite interesting because it highlights the differences, and it feels like Glimmer kept a bit more of that sharpness in, while still having the halation, but not perhaps as I do find the Pro Mist can be quite strong. This is only an 1/8 on here, so it's pretty,
and obviously, if you're listening to us and going about what on earth are they talking about halation, that is the blooming of highlights that you'll see. So instead of it kind of just doing that streaky.
Look at Tom's light compared to my light.
Yeah, right. So if you see here, boom, it is blooming slightly. That is because I actually have a quarter diff on a quarter of Pro Mist on this because
he wants to look 10 years younger
of this. So yeah, but also just an 1/8 didn't really do anything. So you get them in different strengths. So 1/8, quarter, half, full. Full's insane. No.
I have quarters in large, filter format for matte boxes.
Same.
And I found they're maybe too strong for me, but it's all a very kind of personal preference.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it also depends on the lens you're using, on obviously the size of the sensor, and all of that comes into effect.
And your focal length.
Yeah.
So there's so many factors that do affect the strength of the filter. But I'm with you. I find a quarter too strong most of the time.
So one other thing, though, that is only going to be of interest, and I apologise for this, to any Fuji X100 users out there, but one thing I discovered the other day, if you use, like, one of the great things about the little Fuji X100s and those kind of cameras is you can do these film recipes in camera and play around with shadow toning and all of that stuff and actually get it baked into the JPEG. Now, obviously, when you spit out the RAW, that doesn't transfer out unless you can use Fuji's own proprietary software where you can kind of use their engine to try and bring that particular look back into your RAW file.
Mm-hmm.
But if you do use that, there is one setting on here, which is clarity. And if you change that setting and either plus or minus, it causes quite a delay when you're taking pictures. And this is something that really wound me up ages ago because I didn't know what it was. I thought it was just generally changing those settings was causing a delay. So when you take a picture, you get this kind of like split second storing of the photos that happens on the camera. And if you're getting that, that's because you've changed the clarity settings, and only that setting seems to affect it. So if anyone is out there, little public service announcement, using the X100V and has done that and is going, oh, I can't be bothered to use this because it causes a delay, that's what it is. I only found that out this morning.
How long you had the camera?
Several months.
Well, glad you found it. But it's funny, isn't it? Because like little things like that come up on cameras now all the time. Going back to Malaysia, so the higher camera that came in, brand new R5, literally out box fresh R5, tethered it in, shot a file.
JPEG.
Then it came through. No, in RAW. But there was a 4 or 5 second gap between shooting it and it landing in capture. And
right.
the guy, bless him, the guy we hired the equipment from came to the shoot. He'd driven it all the way down from Kuala Lumpur to one of the islands that we were shooting on. And he basically was like, yeah, cool. I'm going to stay with you. And I was like, what, for the whole shoot? He goes, sure. So he then stayed with us the full first day before we kind of went off and did all the other stuff. And he was like, no, this camera is that slow. And I was like, no, it's not. I use this camera all the time. It's definitely not this slow. So I spent a full day trying to troubleshoot it. And my final thing was to reset the camera, pull the battery out, do a full 15-minute power cycle. So make sure there was no power in the camera whatsoever. Put the battery back in, fresh battery, different battery, turn it all back on, fire a couple of test frames in RAW into capture, fix the issue, and then I loaded my settings on. But I don't know if that's useful for anyone using an R5. But again, it's just the little foibles now that we're dealing with such advanced bits of kit that little things can happen now all the time that slow them down and stuff like that. So I'm glad you found that on the X100.
So that's like a slightly more complicated turn it on and turn it off, turn it off and turn it on again.
Yeah, pretty much. So I did very much feel like Roy from the IT crowd.
Yeah.
Someone's accent. I'm not going to do that on the podcast.
Oh dear.
So I actually, anyone who follows Greg on Instagram would have noticed that a couple of weeks ago he bought possibly. So I like the way, by the way, we've changed. I now very rarely buy anything, although I have bought something I would quite like to show you. Would you like to see the most satisfying thing ever?
Go on then.
I bought one of these.
Oh, the name of the clamp that I can never pronounce or remember. That it's like sounds Italian.
Well, so that is by the company Matthews, and that's called a Mathellini.
Right.
Yes. Now these are by Avenger, or these are actually by Manfrotto, which is, Avenger is Manfrotto, but these are actually Manfrotto ones, and these are very, very easy to remember. They're called Vice clamps.
Oh, right.
You'll never figure
Italian
out
sound.
very, very, or it might be Vice. I would imagine it's probably Vice, but look at how satisfying this is. Ready? They showed me these at the photography show, and I was like, no. Honestly, I've actually just bought this one just to have in the office to use as a stress toy.
I used to have one mounted up there for a top light, but they are quite good for mounting. They're quite good for mounting coloramas in a pinch.
Yeah. To be honest, they're just good for so much stuff. We were doing a shoot
use it as a full size fidget toy.
Oh, it's a grown up's fidget toy, isn't it? Ready? Oh, it's so, honestly
great sound.
So pleasing. But
we can now add the hashtag ASMR onto this YouTube video, and we'll get so many more hits.
Finally. But no, so that's one of the only things I've bought of late, which actually I really, really like. So
can you just do one more close to the mic?
Ready? Oh, hang on, let me get it properly. Oh God. Oof.
It's that end. It's that end. It's such a satisfying clunk.
Honestly, it feels proper solid as well. Ready? Oh God. It's nice. I like it a lot. But anyway, if you ever wondered how niche this podcast was getting, that is how niche this podcast is getting.
Camera grip ASMR.
But yeah, let's go back to your absolutely mad case.
Oh right, yes. So I decided to up my DigiCase game. So for a long time, I've had I managed to find a case that perfectly fitted my DigiPlate, so that it actually sat on the inside lip of the case without me having to make any modifications. It
was quite slick, I will say.
Yeah, and it basically meant that it was quite manageable. It's kind of like you could basically almost wear it like a large briefcase kind of size, if you imagine that.
Mm-hmm.
But it did mean I couldn't hold as much in terms of DigiKit. So I upgraded to a Peli 1510 Air, although they're not called 1510s, are they? 1535s.
Yeah.
And I've said I'm rubbish at doing reels, but I will put up a reel of me doing the build on this on my Instagram, which is just Instagram.com/Greg Fennell. I'll try and put a reel of the build because it's a bright yellow. Okay, I didn't go subtle. I was thinking about just getting a black case. I was like, no, I'm going to go bright yellow. So now I have a bright yellow Digi case, and I modded it so that I put in brackets to be able to carry the Digi plate in there.
Mm-hmm.
Because I refused to spend 70 quid, I think it was going to cost me. I've managed to find some brackets on Amazon for £4, and just drilled my own holes, basically.
But tell people what's cooler. They're adjustable. So even if you drill them wrong, you can then correct it by adjusting these things. So it'll work on loads of different plates. It's honestly, when you showed me, I was like, yeah.
So I did have to buy a bit of hardware. But here we go.
Here it comes, ladies and gents.
It's going to be slightly less impressive in black and white, but there we go. Oh, it's upside down. So that's the case. So it's got a little cheese plate on that end, and a little metal pad on that end, so I can mount my card reader. My card reader has a magnetic bottom.
Don't we all?
Yep. And then if you open it up, we've got little section in the top. So this came, I'll try and put a link to this, but this came from Etsy, and these are quite useful because you can basically pull them out.
Do you want to just take a step back and move your chair a bit back so we can see? There you go, perfect.
So
yeah, look at that.
I can have my tether kit, bit of grip, Cine Eye stuff for transmitting a feed out, and then cleaning kit. And then, I'm not sure if you can see that, but the actual Digi case the Digi plate sits there.
Yeah.
And then underneath it's got storage. So if you want to have a proper look, it will be easier to have a look at the pictures I put up on Instagram. And in the base of that, I then run my V-Locks, grip, shade, tripod for the plate to sit on. And then the plate itself has been kitted out with lots of lovely stuff from LS Digi.
Mm-hmm. Shout out to LS.
Yeah, so I've got his Apple, what can we call it? Apple tag.
The AirTag holder, yeah.
We've got a little caddy from him that I can then mount my two hard drives in. This is a USB dock, so I can run all of my USBs basically out into one.
Mm-hmm.
And then this from Condor Blue allows me to run a V-Lock battery as my power source. And instead of taking up a USB-C, I've got an adapter that actually goes into a MagSafe.
Nice.
And then, Ellis Digi's great little mount, which can either be a baby pin or Parker Swiss,
Mm-hmm.
which is what I tend to use.
The base plate, yeah.
And then these things, which are great, which I found the other day, which are from Small Rig, and they're basically little cable tidies.
Mm-hmm.
And they just, I don't know if it will focus.
They're the ones that just lift up?
Yeah, so they snap into place and you can just like unclip them, take the cables out.
Oh, nice.
So that's the bottom of that base.
Very smart.
And then, the whole thing just clips back into the actual case itself. So that is having its first outing on Thursday, which is really good.
Very nice. Yeah, it's funny, isn't it? Because I think traditionally we would never have had our own Digi kits, but I think there's a lot of us who do have our own, quite nice kits, really. Like that one looks very posh. I mean,
yeah, it's just useful because some jobs you just can't, there aren't the budgets to get a Digi in. Unfortunately, as much as we'd all love to, we all value working with proper Digis.
Very much so.
It's going to be the nature of what we do, especially with editorial jobs. You're not going to have any money for that kind of extra. Oh, sorry. I put my mic all the way over there. Yeah, sometimes you're not going to have you're not going to have the money on those jobs necessarily for the extra expense.
Mm.
So it's useful to be able to have at least some of the kit to be able to do the basic stuff yourself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it looks really neat. And you did a good job painting your logo on.
Eventually.
Did you
two attempts? Did
you stencil it like I did mine?
I did stencil it. I just needed to put more of a key on the case.
Yeah, fair.
Yep. But I mean, this I have to say, this is the building of the Digi case. I mean, you kind of did the OG post on this back in 2000 and whenever it was, like 10.
DIYphotography.net. Shout out Udi Turosh for putting that out in 2000. Yeah, when was it?
I don't know when it was, but it was a long time ago.
It was. I wonder if I can still find it. It was it really was a really long time ago. It was basically I'm not going to say before anyone had done it, but like I think I'd basically
there weren't Pelliers at the time, put it that way.
No, this was in like an old 1510, I think.
Yeah.
I wonder if I can find it. Let's have a look.
We'll link to it anyway.
If it's still up, it might not be.
We'll try and find. I'm sure it is somewhere. Everything stays on the internet.
It does. But I used to be very prolific with building things. Oh, here we go. Yeah. Oh my God. 8th of October, 2014.
There we go.
Wow. I remember that with my old car in the background. Good Lord. Looking through it now, actually, I did quite a good job of it. I don't know how much I'd realistically change.
No, it was a great case.
Let me send you the link so we can stick it in the show notes. But yeah, that was, oh wow, look. I carry a USB 3 for my Leaf system and a Firewire 800 cable. Wow. Yeah, times.
Well, you don't still have one of them in the bag?
I used to, but no longer.
So talking about your old car, haven't you had a little bit of an update on that front recently?
Yes, I have got an EV, which I didn't think I'd do because I didn't really think I'd have the range, and turns out I don't. So I thought rather than kind of be like I got a new car, I think I would just talk about my realistic experience of owning an EV. I got an EV because from a tax point of view, it's currently quite beneficial. Obviously, that is not financial advice. Go and speak to a financial advisor. But for me, in my circumstance, it worked out quite well. And it looks good to some people if you turn up in an electric vehicle. And plus, also, I do a lot of shoots in London. Short journeys seems a bit pointless to be ragging my old car around when I can charge it. I think it cost me like £3.50 to charge up now, and that's it. And I have a charger installed at the house, and I've gone on one of these smart tariffs, which gives you like really cheap electricity when you can schedule it to charge at night. So I think the whole thing kind of like, I think it may be £4.20 or something from empty to full. And you kind of go, if I get 200 miles out of that, well, that's much better value than my 80 quid car to fill up that was doing 400 miles. Yeah. So it's working out quite well. It's a bit of a mixed bag. The car farts, which obviously my children find hilarious. And obviously now everyone knows what car I have. But it's a bit of a mixed bag with it. It's not quite as big as I was hoping. So the cases do fit, but not quite how I would have liked them to have done, which is a bit annoying. The range thing, though, is it's a mixed bag, because I used to do, and I don't know what you're like when you do long drives, but I would do mad drives. Like I would drive from Newcastle or like bottom of Scotland, or like even sometimes Edinburgh, and I'd do that drive, and I'd drive almost home. And I live not far off the south coast, and I would do that in like almost one go. And I could drive for like 6-7 hours at a time.
That's not me.
No, but also it turns out it's not most people, and it's also not very good for you to be driving for that long. And it turns out you can be way more relaxed if you are having to pull over and charge every 200 miles or something like that. So I'm finding myself pulling over and charging every kind of 200 and something miles. 200 and something. I mean, I'm kind of early 200s, so 210, 200. And I've never had to worry about wind speed before whilst driving.
Wow.
But
why?
I get telemetry in the car that tells me that, there is an 8 mile an hour wind from the southwest that has added 4 miles onto my trip.
Right.
Or has taken 4 miles of range out of the battery.
What you need is sails on the car that you can hoist, so that when the wind's with you, you can increase the efficiency even more.
I think that's a great idea. Like, or just like little flaps that would just come out and just like fold like that, and then you'd be going. But it's a mixed bag. It's I think I'm happy with it. So, but it's an odd one.
I'm surprised. I was expecting you to be singing its praises. So it's good to kind of hear an honest response to it.
I do kind of I do really want to love it. I really do. I'm a bit conflicted about the company.
Yeah, I can see why.
Bluntly, I find it a bit hard to stomach, but at the same time, it's the only option available to me because they're the people with the infrastructure.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
So, it's a bit. It's again. I don't know. I'm just conflicted about the whole thing. It's a very comfortable place to be. It's very quiet, and when I make calls now in the car, it's soundproofed, and people think I'm in the office.
Yeah.
So that's very impressive. But the range thing is interesting, because when I was doing all the research and watching all the videos, all I ever heard was people raving about it and going, "It's the best thing ever. You're going to love it." Well, actually, real experience of it, it's a nice place to be, and it's got some amazing tech in it. But as far as people who drive around the country lugging lots of kit around, I'm finding myself charging up or filling up more than I would have liked or would have expected. On the flip side of that, it does mean that I can get a bit of a rest more often. Yeah. So, I don't know. I'm probably being better for myself by breaking these really long drives up and actually putting rests in.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I'd love to get an EV. I think, I like the idea of it, but I'm kind of in the market for a van at the moment, and there just aren't good options yet because of the range.
Well, the Buzz Cargo, the Volkswagen, that's cool. I know someone who's got one of those who's very happy with it. But I think the only way to make it really financially viable is to be able to charge it at home. That seems, I've spoken to a lot of people about these kind of cars now, and if you can't charge it at home, and again, if you're listening to this with an EV and you don't charge it at home, let me know. I don't want to be that, like, you know, the guy who's wrong, but from the conversations that I've had, it gets quite expensive when you're filling up at either the superchargers or the chargers at the supermarket or whatever.
And ideally, like, if you are doing it at home, like, you know, if you've got the money to be able to invest in the infrastructure, then get solar on your roof, and, you know, you're adding into that, and get a battery, and then, you know, if you really can invest in the infrastructure for it. But that's a huge outlay for a lot of people. It
is. I mean, solar would be. I'd like to do solar, but it's a 5 or 6 year break even on the install. Currently, I actually really want to buy a Digi cart, but we'll get to that.
So, can't put that on the roof.
No, I know. Well, you can, but it would probably go through it. But yeah, I don't know. It's. I understand that with the amount of miles that I did, I was starting to feel a little bit guilty with the emissions, because also I did have quite a loud, raggedy car that was kind of, you know, 4 exhausts out the back, and it was being a bit loud. And also, blunt.
You didn't need to be driving around in your Subaru Impreza.
No. Oh my God, I would have loved that. Subaru Impreza would have been considerably more comfortable than what I did drive. I used to drive a Golf R Estate, which was like absolutely rock solid. And when I went through potholes, have you heard? We've got a pothole situation here in the UK. I had no idea. So yeah, turns out the roads are effectively almost exclusively potholes around where I live. And I went through one, and it shook me in the car to the point where I was just like, oh, good God. If the car isn't
having a fit.
Yeah, if the car isn't okay, I'm definitely not okay. And felt my spine like realign. And at that point, I was just like, do you know what? I need a different car that's a bit more comfortable. And so I have got a car that's now a bit more comfortable. So I am pleased with it, but I kind of also want to tell people that I was quite disappointed. You know, you buy a car that says it's, you know, the quoted range on the website is 283 miles. I filled it up for the first time, and full, it was saying 260 miles. And I was like, that off the bat is like kind of crap, right?
Immediate disappointment.
Yeah, immediate.
It'll be interesting as well to see how it copes in the winter, because obviously that's the other aspect of it. At the moment, you've got good weather.
I'm in peak summer, yeah, right. So, but again, as long as it does the shorter journeys up and around London or down to the south coast and back in a day, which so far it's absolutely great on those journeys, and then for the long journeys, well, it will just take me a bit longer. Do you know what I'm quite liking about them? Don't know. I checked over there. There's no one in the office, but I am quite enjoying getting my laptop out for 20 minutes every time I charge or whatnot, and just blitzing my inbox.
Yeah.
Because actually, if I do it every 20 minutes, not every 20 minutes, but if I do it for 20 minutes 2 times a day, I can really stay on top of it. We've talked about this. I'm militant with my inbox zero. And it turns out that has really helped. So, you know, it's a bit of a weird silver lining. It's enabling me to work more. You know, who wants that? So, but yeah, I would quite like to bend your ear about something I could do with your advice.
Okay.
Right.
That's not often that comes about.
That's not true. I ask your advice all the time. So and this is now for the people who've enjoyed, if there is anyone, the whole changing of the guard effectively in my career and mindset about equipment. We had a shoot, not you and I, but I had a shoot about a month ago where we had a cart for 4 or 5 days straight. And at the end of the day, we were able to just roll the car in to a lorry and then just pick it up at the next place. Everything's still attached, and it was great. Yeah. It's now got me really thinking that I really want a cart. And I know for a fact that you also want a cart, because you messaged me, what, 6 weeks ago, 8 weeks ago, being like, dude, I'm thinking about buying a cart.
I was at the time, I very quickly kind of saw sense for what I do. I don't think it's necessary. For what you do, I think it might make more sense. And I'm kind of surprised you don't already have one.
Well,
because it's got your name all over it.
It will do. It will do. No, the trouble is, yes, I probably should have one. Yes, it would make my life easier. But I've come so far now not buying kit that it does just, it's quite a lot of money. And I'm now, I used to be really flippant with it. And I'd be like, I'll buy it and figure it out later. And now I'm like,
I think what you need to do is go back to the old Tom that had the time to be doing DIY tinkering projects and getting them put up on Petapixel and wherever it was that they went.
Build my own.
And build a cart that has a micro scooter engine. Get rid of the car. Just arrive on the cart.
Can you imagine that? What's that out of the car window? Oh, that is the photographer Tom Barnes. And that is his motorised Digi cart.
You need to get YouTuber Colin Furze involved.
Oh my God.
That would be your souped up Digi cart.
That would be a collab, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
I love Colin's videos. Have you seen what he's building currently?
An underground garage.
It's massive. Absolutely massive. If I was his neighbours, I'd be like genuinely worried about my foundations.
Yeah. I'm sure that's come up.
I can imagine. So what do you think about the cart then?
I defer judgment. I put it out to our listeners. Maybe we'll do a poll.
The trouble is, don't tell anyone who's listening. But I've already asked the group, and the group basically said a resounding no. So I'm basically just like asking, if you don't get the answer you want, keep trying, right?
Yeah.
But I don't know. I've been offered one at a really good price as well. So it is a little bit like, it is nice. The innovative stuff, I will say, not endorsed by them in any way, not got no connection with them, but the stuff is like really nicely made.
It is.
So I know it'd last me. Although, big news here, I fell over right. I was saying I didn't buy any equipment.
Yeah.
I did buy something.
Okay.
I bought a second ISO.
Right.
Because it was a bit of a deal on eBay.
I love the fact that you said... Go on. Carry on.
The ISO, tender case, and a light stand Teletools Visa mount.
Right.
Or Visa mount, however you say it. All for like under 300 quid.
Wow.
And I was like, actually, the monitor's only got like 60 hours on it. Cleaned it all up. It all came up good. And actually, that is a bit...
You must have been looking for this on eBay. You couldn't have just stumbled across it.
I would not have been looking on anything on eBay, Greg. I don't do that anymore. No, I did actually. I was looking at how much a ISO CS 2420, the ones I use as my location stuff. I was looking at how much they were because I was just like, someone was chatting in another chat, and they'd said that they'd spent about 800 quid on it. And I was like, that's not right. You can go on eBay and pick them up for pennies. They're not very expensive. And he'd got CS and CG mixed up. Right. So obviously CG, the really expensive range, CS, the one without the calibrator.
What's the difference? Calibrating, self-calibration.
CG has the self-calibrator and CS, it just doesn't. So one's color edge and one's the other one.
Right.
Can't remember. But anyway, the CS is the cheaper range. And if you do ever need a 24-inch monitor for location reviews, I would or a studio, have a remote monitor. They're great. They're really, really good. Especially, you can. What we do, might be an interesting tip for people, is we calibrate them through the wireless monitor. Right. So through the wireless image sender, and then create a profile per monitor per wireless set. So then that means it's pretty close to. It's not 100% accurate or anywhere near, but I would say it's like perfectly fine for a reference monitor for clients. And I think they look pretty good. So yeah, so I picked one of those up just because it was a really good deal. But the case is an absolute monster, and I fell over it this morning. So I have had to get a storage unit.
Oh,
Yeah. So that turns out has not been. That's why one of the reasons I'm like, I don't know if I need this card because.
yeah. Although now you're paying for the space, you might as well use it.
Well, that was my logic, right? I was just like, well, they fold up really flat. They don't take up much space. So I don't know. I'm kind of like umming and ahhing about it.
Yeah.
But they are slick.
That's a real plot twist there, Tom.
Isn't it? Sorry.
Talking about like great simplification and getting rid of kit, and then it turns out you've now got storage.
Well, I have got rid of a load of kit. The trouble is there is a shooting the style that I shoot, that you shoot. It requires a certain amount of equipment. And the thing is, as you get more experienced, the equipment becomes slightly weirder. So now I have a collection of flags and, all sorts of weird stuff. And I've got, a massive, great beauty dish there, the metal one. Again, that was an eBay find. But it's all this stuff is big, bulky.
Yeah. Beauty dishes are a bugger to store.
They are. And turns out huge, great timber monitor cases, also quite a big thing to store. But everything that I need takes up loads of space.
You need a big garden shed, mate.
I need a big garden first. Then I'll get the shed. But yeah, no, it is a bit of a plot twist. I understand that. I actually haven't got it as of yet. I've only made inquiries.
Okay.
But the idea would be that I now have got. I don't have a very big office, as you can probably tell. But if I manage to empty it out of all the equipment, well, that would make my office a really pleasant place to be. Currently, I got in from this shoot in Malaysia like a week ago, just under, and everything just got chucked straight in. And it was like,
it all depends on where the storage unit ends up being. Because speaking as somebody who has a studio where I keep certain kit, like the bulkier stuff, it is a bit of a pain that, before a shoot, I normally have to drive into the studio the night before, or get up super early on the day of the shoot and drive to the studio first and then head to the shoot from the studio, having picked up some of the kit that's kept to the studio versus some of the kit that's kept at home.
Yep. No, it is, and annoyingly, because I live in the country, it would be about a 20-minute drive.
Yeah, which is about what my studio is for me.
Yeah, it is. It's a pain. I mean, the trouble is don't have tons of space, don't really see many options, need the kit, so it's a bit of a pain.
Do a Colin Furs, dig down.
Right, I would. Do you know what? Believe it or not, I have actually explored that option. We've got drainage pipes that run through our back garden, so
turn them into a feature.
Just go under them, mate.
Yeah,
it is tempting, though. It is very tempting. But yeah, Colin, you've inspired us. So, well, listen.
Coming to the X Negative YouTube channel soon.
Yeah, right. Oh
Tom's
my God,
great excavation.
I would love that. Tell you what, Colin.
After the great simplification became the great excavation.
Well, I think it's the great simplification and then the great relocation to Colin Furs' secret underground bunker, which is probably the only place big enough to have all my kit. Good. My God, wouldn't that be great though? Because he's creating a lift that comes all the way up. Wouldn't it be cool to just literally? Oh my God, that would be a dream, wouldn't it? You bring in a van full of kit onto the ramp. You put it underground. You don't need to unpack the van. Nothing. My
Just
God,
roll the whole van in, and then that goes down.
That would be.
Speaking my language now.
What a dream. God, that guy. Cool. All right. Well, listen, I was going to bring up one other thing, but we're way over time. Yes. So I'll save that for next time.
Yeah, we have an exciting guest on the next episode. Somebody who has written a fantastic book on the art of travel and photography.
Yes, it's a fantastic book, but I don't feel like you're doing them justice.
Oh, they've done a lot more, but I don't want to give away who they are.
Oh, of course.
All I'm saying is that if you are, this is a very practical book.
Mhm.
It's got some really interesting bits in it. I read it and took notes, put it that way.
Right.
So there was stuff in there that, as somebody who is, 15 years into their career and travels a lot for work and has traveled a lot for my career over that time, there was stuff in there that I was going, why have I never thought of that? That's a good idea.
Perfect.
So really going to be worth tuning in to listen to that.
I will also say I'm thrilled to have him on, because 2000 and mid 2000s, he was instrumental, or the thing he ran was instrumental in the development of my knowledge, and I really can't wait to thank them in person via
like Wayne's World.
Yeah,
we're not worthy.
It might be a little bit, but that's I'm thrilled.
Yeah. Anyway, so that's going to be on the next episode. So tune in for that. And in the meantime, where can people find us? What can people do, Tom?
People can go to the YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/@exposenegative. We have got our personal. Well, let's do the show stuff first. We've got @xnegative on Instagram. It has EX negative, obviously, and then Greg is on Instagram at Greg Funnell, GregFunnell. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Perfect.
That's right.
Good. And I am at tombarnes.com. TOMBARNESDOTCOM.
Patreon. If you want to support the show, you can go to Patreon, which is
patreon.com/exposenegative. And so, I'm sure if you've listened to the show before, you know that we run a WhatsApp group, which is for people. They pay a small monthly donation to the show, which helps us keep it running. And then you get access to a wonderful group of people. And
yes, speaking of which, I'm going to be catching up with a few of them next week, actually.
Are you?
In town for a coffee.
Thanks so much for the invite. When?
It's on the group chat.
Oh, is it? Oh, I haven't.
Yeah.
Was it yesterday?
No. I can't remember. It was a few days ago.
Right.
Anyway, if you're around,
I've been back.
We'll chat offline about this.
Okay.
But yes,
I've been battling quite serious jet lag, so it's been a lot. So, but yeah, no. Well, that sounds very nice. Very nice indeed. But yeah, it's a lovely group, and have we ever had a question that we haven't been able to fix?
Yeah, there's been. Yeah, it's. I've even put questions into it, which is a bit sneaky because I'm not a patron.
Yeah,
but I guess I get. I guess I get a free pass.
Do we need to donate? We probably should be patrons, right? We get more out of the group than anyone else. But
the last thing I was going to say on that front is one thing that we haven't pushed for a long time that would be super helpful, apart from subscribing onto the YouTube channel if you haven't yet done so, is the reviews on Apple Podcasts. They really, really help if you have time and you just want to go on and give us like something. If you don't want to become a Patreon, but you do want to say, thanks guys, the show's been really helpful. That's the next best thing for us, is going on and giving us a nice review, because that really helps the show.
Absolutely. Yeah. And have a lovely...
That's it, really.
Yeah, I haven't got anything else to add, I think. But yeah, also, let's just do one more thing. Remember that old school networking technique of actually talking to people?
Yes.
Remember it? Well, if you like the show and you have friends who are photographers, can you tell them about the show? That would be great.
Sing it from the rooftops.
Maybe.
Right. Until the next time.
Cool.
We'll be back with some more ASMR. All right.
What was that?
Sorry, it was my little Posca pen.
Oh, nice. Okay, cool. Right. In case there was any confusion, do you want me to see them out? Ready?
Yeah, go on.
Oh.